Welcome back to Sims Complete. I'm your host, Matt Sims, alongside Phil Sims. And hey, we're in the thick of it here in the offseason right now with Sims Complete and what we're doing. And, there's not much to talk about because there's not a lot of action, but still, one thing that's really interesting that has taken place, right, is just Brennan Sorsby, that situation there, the NCAA, right, and of course, a judge there in Lubbock, Texas, ruling, saying that he is eligible to participate in NCAA events. This is an interesting case, of course, now with it potentially being just a 2-game suspension, despite the fact that he obviously was gambling on college football, being a college football player. This potentially does open up the door for the NCAA, who's been asking for help for, it seems like, these past handful of years since the NIL door had been opened up, for someone to come in, right, and help them fix out what's going on. And Big Guy, just like your reactions to just how this is all played out, like as someone who went through the structure of being a pro football player, right, in its classic sense, being able to now watch it, like having 2 sons go through the process, but now seeing it how it is now, your thoughts on just the state of college football, the situation with Texas Tech and Brennan Sorsby, and what do you think of all this?
Well, it's a big question. I think the first thing I think of, you say the state of college football.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Sorsby thing, that changes everything. But just going off of last year, I would say college football, it was in a great place. More people that we know and talk to by, each week, all of a sudden it was always about the pros. And last year, I would say the college football scene was taking up 30 to 40% of that just in my life.
Right.
People ask me about this guy, the coach, teams, and, the playoff system for them. Man, it worked great. A lot of exciting games, Indiana winning it against Miami, probably the 2 best teams that got there. Ohio State, what they had. I mean, college football's in a great spot. These kids, I don't know, Brandon Sorsby, was he getting money at Cincinnati?
Yes, he was.
He was. Okay. Well,
now, to the degree in which he was being paid, I don't know, right? But I do know that he had a pretty good payday there at Texas Tech.
I would say this. Gambling is so easy to do now.
Yeah.
Online, it's out there everywhere you go. And now he's got money in the pocket, and it's just, something else to do.
That's right.
You don't think of the consequences until you get caught. So it's really bad. I don't know how it's all going to work out. I think what they say, Matt, a 2-game suspension, and then, Texas Tech, I'm sure they have their eyes on being national champions again.
Yeah.
So the judge helped them out. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And, through all this process too, I mean, he, participated in spring football, right? So you still see some highlights of him in a Texas Tech uniform, getting those reps, getting prepared, right? And now the question was whether or not he was going to be eligible to play. Now that he is potentially eligible to play, thinking that the NCAA will appeal this. Of course, a judge in Texas voting in favor for the Texas football player, right? So no shocker there.
Right.
Just, ultimately, Big Guy, where do we go from here for college football? And just, you're right, the access that kids have for these gambling apps, and of course it being all digital, it's hard for, I think, anyone to really – it's hard to police it to a degree, right? And it's hard to manage it to a degree because it is happening on your phone, so you don't really have a great understanding of the depth in which it's in place, but it's so accessible now. And there's got to be a better way, I think, for them to go through this and to kind of have a better checks and balances for people in their betting.
Well, for college football, for universities, the NCAA and all that, the best thing, almost, I say it this way, happened for them. And now if you're a college student and you're thinking about betting, if you're a quarterback, oh my gosh, I mean, that's the first ones they're going to look at. But if you're, that'll stop a lot of guys from dabbling in anything when it comes to gambling.
Yeah.
And especially guys like come on, man, I don't know if he was going to be a first-round pick or not. He probably had a good chance to be that if he had a good year.
Yeah.
But now he could play really, really well, and it'll be such a controversy if everybody has him as a first-round draft pick. would he be picked? I think that's going to affect how he's drafted in the NFL unless his play is just outstanding, every single week in and week out. So,
yeah, it's really interesting to think about too, because the whole thought of it originally was, yes, he does have the potential to rise up the draft board like a Fernando Mendoza, right? Coming out of nowhere and then becoming the guy, right, in college football. Texas Tech, of course, being really, really calculated with how they go about getting new players onto their roster and improving their roster. They showed that last year as one of the better teams in the country at identifying talent and applying that talent to their coaching staff. But you're right. If he goes out there and wins the Heisman Trophy potentially, even winning the Heisman Trophy with this, that's the whole thing too, because the Heisman's not even about just the play on the field. We have to keep that in mind, right? The Heisman is supposed to represent like the student athlete as a whole for their career. So you're right. This whole thing has really put the NCAA in question as far as its legitimacy and how they actually police their own leagues that play underneath them.
Well, I got to tell you, if you think he's going to win the Heisman, I would probably have to go on one of these apps and make a big bet. It ain't going to happen. If he completes every damn pass he throws the whole year, he's not going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Right.
So it's no chance there. And I think the big thing is just what can he do, and how, if he works it out or whatever, can he get the NFL to think of him without this looming over his head, I guess you would say.
Yeah, right. So
we'll see.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, just wanted to get your thoughts on it too, because right now that is, going from potential guy getting drafted next year. Oh, now he's a part of the supplemental draft. Oh, you know what? A judge in Texas thinks otherwise. Now he's a part of the program again. And we'll see how that continues to play out, because that might change, right? Before the season starts. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Are we shocked by Texas? I mean, Texas, man, they protect Texas, and they're great at it. Yeah, that's going to be interesting the way it goes. But, we got some other quarterbacks.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Second-year quarterbacks.
Right.
This is, I think, going to be interesting. Everybody always says, well, the big jump is the second year. Well, yeah, you can have a big jump if the team's good enough. But the first one I look at.
It's been the opposite, though. Second-year guys, right? C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels is great examples of that. Most recently, second year, as you would say, they had more of a regression than they did actually playing up to the hype of their rookie seasons.
Well, J.J. McCarthy, he had it rough. Injuries is a big deal. But just Cam Ward, give me your thoughts on Cam Ward real quick. Let's knock him out first.
Man, I mean, for the second year, as we were discussing last season, we continued to ask each other, okay, is he going to start to limit some of the Cam Ward that made him great at Miami, but can you limit some of those plays to being a little bit more within, right, the structure of the NFL, right, being consistent, making the easy completions look easy on a consistent basis? Finally, I feel like that light bulb turned on for him those last 4 to 6 weeks of the season, where you started to see him really make that adjustment, get better, right, and show tremendous improvements. And I think for him, definitely just with his mentality, like I've always shared with you, I just love how he's wired. I love that competitive nature about him. I love that he's always just constantly like pushing himself to get better. And I think just Saleh, Dayball, what they've been through personally, Cam Ward and how last year went, as you always say, hey, it's good when you got some guys that got some chips on their shoulders that want to prove some stuff to people. And I feel like right now he is in a really, really good spot, right, with how they formatted their team around him. And so far, early reports show Carnell Tate's been balling for them and is clearly receiver number one. So they got to be feeling pretty good about their quarterback receiver tandem here to start early on in this process.
Well, Brian Dayball's got to be – he's like, oh, man, I'm pretty lucky. He wanted Cam Ward last year. They tried to move up the first pick of the draft to get him. It didn't work. Right. So they had to settle for Jaxson Dart. So, here's how I would look at Cam Ward. To put it with any of these guys, his style of play was so different than what we really maybe ever seen in college. And he carried that same style. They never broke him of many of those habits, which you've already talked about. That's why he struggled early in the year. And man, this offseason, I watched him a lot. And I just go, wow. Just some of the plays and the effort and what he was trying to do I really haven't seen anybody come in the NFL and try to play it that way. Yeah. And you're right, it did not work. And then the end of the year, he settled down. It became a little more what we call NFL centric or whatever. And we saw more talent or something that could grow into where he's going to be a big time NFL starting quarterback. And I'm sure Brian Daboll is grinding on him. I expect to see tremendous progress from what he did last year.
Yeah, no doubt. How about your thoughts too with just now going into the second year for Jaxson Dart, right? And what that looks like for the New York Giants in this offense?
Well, I thought overall last year, I thought Jaxson Dart was really, really good. Yeah. In the games, I've talked about it, how I watched him at training camp, and they just got better and better. And I think, and I've said it, I'll just say it again, I was surprised in two things. His throwing was better than I expected when I saw it live, and his running ability is really, really good. And I even wrote it down too. He ran for 487 yards last year. Man, that's some big time running, 9 touchdowns. And he's a huge threat, and they're going to use it. And I know everybody talks about it. Can't let them hit us. And Matt, you played, I played. When you're running with the football, you really don't get hit where you didn't see it coming. Yeah. As a quarterback, you can always run and feel everybody and see. And he saw him. He just decided he wanted, something extra.
That's right.
Yeah, that $100 bill wasn't good enough. He wanted a $100 bill and a $10 bill or whatever you want to say, and it backfired on him a couple times.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And so Greg Roman, we've talked about this. Matt Nagy and Greg Roman, man, oh man, they just got to wear his ass out in training camp.
Brian Callahan, right? And that quarterback room specifically, that's the guy really who's going to be, in his ear consistently day in and day out, right? Just bringing him along and taking those steps forward.
But just my last thing is, yes, everybody up here in this area, we're all excited about him. How's it going to turn out? And is it going to, if he improves and plays better than he did last year, man, then you got a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's what you'll have.
Yeah. No, it's pretty exciting. It really is. And of course, just the improvements that they made to the roster as a whole. And of course, just the depth that they've added, the veterans that they added, of course, with Odell Beckham Jr. and Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Braxton Berrios, of course, those pieces all I think are going to play a big part in the success of Jaxson Dart moving forward. All right, now the other guy that kind of gets forgot a little bit in this big picture of stuff, but really had a tremendous rookie season is Tyler Shough, right? Yeah. The young man out of Louisville, drafted by the New Orleans Saints, and of course paired up with Kellen Moore. You got to be excited about where this guy could be headed with Kellen Moore in a full offseason and going into his second year.
Yeah, I mean, really, Kellen Moore, boy, I've underestimated him probably his whole coaching career. And everywhere he goes, the damn quarterback plays pretty well. Okay, that's established. And not only, but Tyler Shough, when you talk about him, he played at the University of Louisville. He had Jeff Brom, an NFL quarterback, been around it as his coach and the offense, and all of it was set up. They were running an NFL offense down there. Yeah. So once he got the hang of it and his turn came down there in New Orleans, that he took advantage of it. Yeah. And, you look at some of his numbers, 67% completion, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He was 5-4 as a starter. Man, that's pretty impressive. And he's a big dude, 6'5", and he knows how to play this position, Matt. And is that talent around him could be better, whatever this year, I'd be very surprised. He's just, and his body language and everything on the field is like he's calm. He's not like hey, everybody. No, he's the calm guy, just executing and doing the right thing with the football. So, wow. And the Saints, they didn't fall for it. They waited till the second round. A lot of people, and I was one, thought he could go late first, but they waited till the second, and it paid off for him.
And here they are too, investing in their quarterback and investing in their offense, their young offense as well, right? Or trying to make it younger.
Right.
And hey, they get Calvin Banks Jr., right? They got Jordan Tyson. And of course, Jordan Tyson, to me, one of the better receivers that was coming out of this year's NFL draft. Calvin Banks, the left tackle that came out of last year's draft, right? So it's like, got the left tackle, young guy, got Jordan Tyson, got Chris Olave, who really gets lost in the shuffle of like great young receivers in the NFL because of the fact that New Orleans just wasn't really competitive these past handful of years.
Right.
So now Travis Etienne Jr., Alvin Kamara, we'll see how that plays out. Chris Olave, Jordan Tyson, Tyler Shough, got some really solid pieces along with Kellen Moore's offense. And you're right, like Kellen, really I think did a great job of adapting to each one of his little stops that he had in his career, right? Where Dallas, it was very, hey, we're throwing the football. We don't really run it all that great. We throw it to actually open up some running lanes here and there. Then it kind of did like a complete 180 there with Philadelphia, where it was all about the running game, intermittent throwing, right? And calculated throwing when it mattered most, mixed in with some Jalen Hurts movement. But I think that's also why we've seen with Kellen Moore, pretty good adjustment as far as a head coach and just having a little of everything to his wheelhouse as far as how he implements his offense, which I think is a tremendous advantage for Tyler Shough moving forward.
Yeah, really great. I thought, man, can he be a leader of the team? Can he be a good head coach, whatever? Yeah. I did have my doubts. And, that comes from what? It comes from the fact of just his presence. He's not like a big guy. And could he still control the team the way he wanted? And he basically said, hey, all you that think that, you're wrong. And yeah, we were wrong. He controlled the football team and did a terrific job. And then once he did that with the Saints, you said it, you start going back going, oh, he did a good job with Jalen Hurts. Oh, yeah, down in Dallas. That's right. Yeah. And what did we do? We bitched and moaned when he was in Dallas. Well, they throw it too much. Now that's all they do. Whatever. But Kellen Moore, great job. Tyler Shough, great job. And New Orleans, they got to be thinking it's going to be a lot better even this year.
Yeah, definitely got to be thinking improvements. I mean, the schedule, though, here, let's just hear the first few weeks of their schedule here. We got the Detroit Lions to start the season, right? Okay. Then the Baltimore Ravens with Jesse Minter. Really curious to see kind of how that plays out. Then they got the Las Vegas Raiders to follow that, right, with Kirko and our boy Fernando. Then they follow that up with the Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers. So, for them, pretty manageable start to the season, honestly. On paper, from what we are expecting or think that the direction of the NFL can go for this upcoming season.
No, that's all you can hope for. That's not a good schedule. That's damn good for the New Orleans Saints.
Right.
You were rattling them off. I liked all of them. The only one that kind of scared me a little was the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
So, yeah. How about, did we talk? We were talking about it. Did we do it on it? John Mateer. Did we talk about him real quick?
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts, though, real quickly, too, on just what are your thoughts now with Caleb Williams going into his second year with Ben Johnson, right? And what you would expect from them offensively, right? His growth at the position, because he's someone that, to me, like I shared with you guys on the podcast, right, last season. All right, a lot. Hey, being thrown a lot, being asked to do more at the position that he's ever been asked. And you could see the wheels were turning aggressively for him to just catch up. It seemed like he was kind of always just like, I can't quite grasp it, right? And towards the end of the year, I feel like he all of a sudden, all right, I got it. Now I'm hearing reports, too, from their OTAs and stuff like that his command of everything has just been night and day different, so now that we kind of hear this, right, along with the physical talent that we saw last year, because, hey, Cam Moore, Jaxson Dart, and Tyler Shough, we love them, right? There's no doubt that the Caleb Williams show that he has more talent than all three of them to some degree, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now it's like, what are your expectations for Caleb Williams now and the Bears, considering this is year 2 with Ben Johnson?
Well, it's really high, of course. And, too, his whole mental aspect is going to change. Why? Because he had great success.
Right.
And great success comes with it confidence. And not only that, but the confidence that your teammates and your coach have in you now.
Yeah.
And, look, they're a team. They ran the ball well. They were patient with the play calling. And I would say Caleb Williams is, I'm not going to go overboard here, but he's arguably the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He's right up there with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I mean, come on. Those throws that he was making at the end of the year, I would say the other guys couldn't make them. I mean, they were that dynamic. Going backwards 55 yards in the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, who in the hell can do this?
Right.
And I'll go back to this. When he was at USC, somebody called me, and we were having debates at CBS all the time about him. And I said, you know what? I literally watched film on him for 10 or 15 minutes. I go, I don't need to see anything else. This is great. And I called some people and said, it's over. He's the best player. And they go, really? You already think so? And I go, man, if somebody else is going to make the plays that I watched him make in college and all that, then good luck finding him. Really tremendous. And his body language, his personality, and even the head coach. Did the head coach say that I wasn't a very good coach in certain things or whatever last year? So
yeah, it did seem like he was unhappy with his own performance at times, right? And just the adjustment probably of going from OC and focus on that to the big picture, which, we can understand, which we know, talking from coaches, is an overwhelming task, no matter how well prepared you think you are.
Yeah, no doubt. And he handled it pretty damn well. Boy, is he out there. I mean, taking his shirt off, everything he did was interesting. I never expected that from him. Of course, I didn't know him either. But I think the big thing about him is I was looking at it like all the plays that we kind of love to see on a football field. But when Ben Johnson got to Chicago, it was meat and potatoes, big boy.
Yeah.
Let's run the ball. Let's play this way. And then when the quarterback started getting better, things changed. And it got to a point where you were really excited just to watch the Chicago Bears play. Yeah,
right. And it's really exciting too, because, even hearing just the reports too of Luther Burden, right, and how he's progressed, right, the young man out of Missouri. It just seems like they are really, really excited about what he's going to bring to the table for this offense and adding a little explosive nature to it. And what he did 2 years ago at Missouri and kind of got overlooked, or 3 years ago at Missouri, got overlooked his last year there. And then, of course, started to make some impacts too. And Colson Loveland's a pretty good young tight end that they got there. And they know how to help some tight ends. But yes, all right, big guy. Yes. Now from there, let's close out the show a little bit with just like some QBs that you're interested in for next year. I told you about Drake Lindsay of Minnesota that I really like a lot, the 6'5", 230-pounder, right? Big frame quarterback that really can throw the football dynamically well from the pocket. Tell me a little bit more about your thoughts on John Mateer and what you saw from him on the film.
Well, I did look at him at Minnesota real quick, and you're right. He's big, and he was a freshman. A redshirt freshman, I guess.
Redshirt freshman, yes, sir.
Yeah, so he could still come out 3 years, right? In college, or you can come out.
Correct. Yeah.
So he has a great year. Listen, you have to study him pretty well because, Minnesota, it's a good organization. Their coach does a great job, but they're still not that dynamic. So he's not going to put up those great numbers. But John Mateer, was watching him yesterday, even today, just killing some time, waiting on you. But it's all good. And I just went, oh my gosh, he is so much better than I just saw it. And they're playing, who were they playing? They were playing Michigan. Boy, in Michigan, they do a great job of playing pass coverage. But his size, his mobility, throwing on the run, every throw is available to him because he can make them all. And he doesn't have a good arm. He's got a borderline great arm. I mean, he can really let it go. And it caught me by surprise. Why? Because I really just started seeing him once he tried to come back after 7 days of hurting his thumb and playing against Texas. And, of course, it was horrendous. But I give him a lot of credit for making that sacrifice for the team. But when he was healthy, Matt, I liked him as a number 2 NIL quarterback going into the season last year. Him and Mendoza both stood out when I watched them.
Right.
But yeah, he's a guy to watch. Can they give him? I want to make sure it was Michigan, and some of the throws that he was making, I just would write down. I'd write down, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. What did you think about him when he was healthy?
Yeah, I mean, your breakdown of him, especially from the Michigan game, is spot on. The problem is that was the second week of the season, and it did seem like very shortly after that when he got injured, right? It just was hard for him to kind of recapture some of the momentum that he started with.
Right.
And also for their offense as well, they never established a running game. He really was asked to be kind of the do-all kind of guy for them offensively, right? With Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania, right, who are fantastic skill players on the outside. But because they had no running game, it just seemed like they were losing ways to be dangerous and to kind of push defenses around, right, and to create opportunities, which made him play, I think, a little bit too much hero ball at times. Like as an example, yes, they have the loss against Texas. They end up beating Alabama by 2, right, in Alabama.
Right.
But just the week before that, that it was like a shootout with Tennessee. So it's like one of these teams where like you never really could get a great feel for just the momentum that they had. We know that, of course, right, just defensively and what they do, damn, they're going to be able to get after the passer and do some things and all that. But overall, it just seemed like they were just they were surviving and advancing. They really were. And for me, that's where like I'm kind of curious to see how it goes this year for them, because I don't think that they were a playoff caliber football team last year. I didn't want to say that they shouldn't have been in it because I feel like they earned the right with their schedule and, of course, their wins. But they were definitely a team that I felt like was kind of hanging on. And I'm kind of curious to see just what the direction is for them offensively, their running game, and what does it look like now building out that offense, for them around John Mateer, because there's no surprise factor anymore, right? Everybody knows how good he is. How good can he be from the pocket is a big question I have.
I think he can do it because I saw enough. Maybe it's not overwhelming, but man, he made what we call hole shots and seams, and then he made so many, gosh almighty, and he made it. He can throw power football with very little effort.
Yeah.
And this is what I would say. I'm going to, I think John Mateer is more talented than Cam Ward, who was the first pick of the draft last year.
Wow, really?
Yes, I do. I just, I think he's faster. I think his arm is good. I think it's better. He can get rid of the ball quicker. I'm not knocking Cam Ward at all because I loved him how he finished the year and all that, but I'm just saying the rawness of John Mateer. Now, playing the game and managing the game the right way and all the stuff that you're talking about, that'll be huge in his prospects. But he's proven he's tough as hell. He can really move around. He can stand in there and take hits and make big throws.
Yeah.
That's where I'm.
It's
going to change for me.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up too, and I feel like too, just Cam Ward, I think he had a better surrounding cast at Miami than John Mateer had. I think they had a better understanding too of what they were offensively. And I think Shannon Dawson, like I've always preached to you, is like one of the better offensive coordinators in college football because he does run an NFL-like approach to it. So Cam Ward, I think, had those advantages. I get what you're saying about him maybe having a quicker release, but I still think that Cam's overall play and throwing ability is better than John Mateer. But I see what I agree with you on that. The one thing that concerns me about John Mateer is that everything is a little bit of a sidearm throw. Like everything, he dips underneath every throw, and that's where for me, like there's times when you watch him on film, the footballs get away from him because he is so violent and quick with his motion. And because he has that slight dip where his throwing shoulder gets underneath, right, his front shoulder, that he loses a little bit of his accuracy that way. Where I don't see that happening from Cam Ward as often at Miami as I did from John Mateer. But that was, again, just a different offense, different structure around him. But I just think overall, like I push back a little bit with John being the more talented thrower of the two.
Yeah, I understand that. I do. And I did this. I've watched him a lot, but what's in your mind, you kind of forget. So I looked at it, everything.
Right.
Now, the ones I saw in that Michigan game, he didn't dip. He was on top, and like I said, he made I'm going to say 5 throws where I just wrote down, "Oh my God." That's what it is.
Yeah, that was the coaching point.
It's 11:29. I got the first quarter or second quarter. I do it by quarters, and I just write down the time. That way, when I want to go back and look, it's easy. And I just write 11:29, and I said, "Oh my God!" Then I actually said, "Left hash, right sideline, 40 yards down the field, line drive."
Well, they're super impressive
in my stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Super impressive, no doubt. Yeah, it's a really interesting class. So I'm glad to hear too, John Mateer, some guys like Marcel Reed who have tremendous experience as well. Curious to see how they transition. Sam Levitt at LSU now with Lane Kiffin. That's going to be fascinating. Another guy too that I'm really Josh Hoover, transfer from TCU to Indiana, now with Signetti, but also too Jaden Craig, our New Jersey boy, leaving Harvard to go there to Texas Christian to play some football. All right. He's a Harvard man turned into a horned frog.
I saw him in high school, and I've talked about this, I'm sure, to you. The big Rutgers 7-on-7 tournament, and of course they won it.
Yeah.
They had a lot of talent, but also him. And I was watching him. I go, man, I'm not going to bother him. I was dying to talk to him and just kind of hear what they do as an offense in high school. And he went right to Harvard. And, we know some kids that were up there at Harvard, pretty good quarterbacks.
That's right.
And sooner or later, his talent, they just go, it's undeniable. Got to play him more and more. And going to TCU is good. I like TCU's offense. Maybe I didn't watch it much this past year, but 2 years ago I liked it. So this would be really big. How about that? If he has one of those years, because he's a good athlete, he's got great size, he's got a good arm, he could be a high draft pick also.
He definitely can be. He's a guy that to me, he can rise up the board pretty quickly because he does have good size. He's a good athlete. He's Harvard Crimson's all-time leading passer, right, in yards and touchdowns as well. And of course, we've also seen just the power of being a Harvard guy, right? For a guy like Fitzpatrick, right? There is a cachet that comes with that, right? For him and his future. So it's pretty interesting. Even Byron Brown, right? Going to Auburn from South Florida. Very curious to see how that transitions too, right? Following his guy, Alex Golish. So, from what was a clear and concise group last year as far as, who's the first round QBs? Now the following year, we know some names there at the top, like the Norsells and Arch Manning, all that. But man, there's a little bit deeper crew this year, right? And I find this very interesting for how it plays out, because I do think a lot of these guys have some NFL talent and capabilities. And now it's all about just, hey, does it time up well with their school, the offense, hey, the who they go schedule wise, right? The health of their team. So it's going to be a great year for college football again this year, and some really young, talented quarterbacks, right, showing out and showing some impressive stuff.
Oh, listen, we're going to hate the whole quarterback conversation by week 2.
No doubt. Agree.
Every damn show. Well, it's where we got them ranked now. It's going to change every week. It's
we didn't even talk about Dante Moore, and he's another guy who had a great year, right? So that's where it's really, I'm really excited about it, because I think it's despite, man, here's another name for you, Damon Williams, right? Don't be surprised either. Now he's 5'11", 190, but Jed Fish, hey, he knows how to get it up. He knows how to set up QBs and to get them in position to be successful. Noah Fafita, right, out of Arizona, another talented guy, undersized quarterback, but damn, he's going to be impressive film-wise. Yeah. So, yeah, it's unbelievable how talented the quarterback world is right now.
You can judge a quarterback at Washington. You're part Eagle, because the film, come on. I can't tell you if it's the quarterback or left tackle. It's
Right.
because the filming is like 8 miles up in the air.
Yeah. So
Right.
we asked Big Phil to watch a few games, right, for guys like Denzel Boston, right, and just Jed Fish as well, because we're fans of him, Jersey guy as well.
Right.
And of course, big guy comes back, right, from watching that film. He goes, hey, I watched the game. I'm not sure what the hell happened. So, hey, it's just too far.
It really is.
We'll work on it, Washington. We'll work on it. Instead of getting the game, tape from some satellite in space, we would like to be a little bit closer to the field just to help out Phil Simms a little bit.
Yes, and the last thing here for me, just yes, these quarterbacks and all that. What am I trying to say is we'll hold some of our thoughts about them until the season gets really close before it starts, because like Arch Manning, you said it, all these guys, and it's who knows how it's going to end up.
Yeah,
Arch Manning's another one. It was really like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And it just continued to get better. And he's another one. He's like a lot like Cam Ward and Mateer. He's not afraid to rip it down the field a lot. And he's got size. He runs well. I mean, he's got the package now. It's just about one thing, refining it and just being that guy. Under control, making the throws. Don't miss what we always say. Yeah. Don't miss any routine throws. That's probably one of the weaknesses of Arch Manning. Just misses a few throws he shouldn't, but they're young, so we'll see.
No doubt. And they went out and got one of the best receivers in the transfer portal, in Cam Coleman from Auburn. So he's going to be highlighted within that offense. You got to be thinking that Sark, and Sark's been pretty active too. Sark's been – he's been talking a lot. So clearly they're pretty fired up there in Austin, and, they're pissed, about just Texas Tech coming into play and kind of getting all this attention there in the same state and all that. So you could see that Sark and Texas, they're making this one of those, we got to do it this year type of things, with their talk that they have. So pretty exciting, man. Big guy. Yep. Always a pleasure. He's Phil Simms. I'm Matt Simms. This is Simms Complete on the Believe Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. And we'll be back next week with some more coverage of just football stuff, because that's what we do, man. All right. So we'll be back. See you guys next time.